Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, you're going to learn how to play a really cool rock blues composition. This sounds awesome on electric guitar. It sounds great even on acoustic guitar. It sounds great if you slow it down and play it slow. There's a lot of things you can get out of this. You can also play this in any key because there's no open strings, so you can easily slide it up and down. And I'll show you how to do that as we get into the lesson. So I've got this split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature for this lesson, you can get that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP322. Alright, so why do I keep creating these standalone composition lessons? I've been doing these for years. I started this back in 2008, 2009 on YouTube. And they continue to grow in popularity. And the reason for that, there's two reasons. One is it gives you something to play for other people, something that isn't super difficult. A lot of the standalone stuff is like Chet Atkins or Tommy Emmanuel fingerstyle, and it can get really difficult to do that. This is stuff that's fairly easy that you can follow along with, but it sounds really cool, and it's something that you can play for someone else. So when somebody says, hey, what are you working on in guitar? You don't want to sit down and show them a scale, and you don't want to sit down and play a lick out of context. So this gives you something to be able to perform for other people. The other reason I do this is there's a motivation that happens when you have an end goal. You have a point to all the stuff you're working on, and that end goal is the song that you're going to be learning. So I think those are the two reasons that I do these, and it gives you something to shoot for. And so my goal for you in the end of this is not just to be able to memorize what I'm playing, but to understand the theory behind it. So we're going to break all that down in the course of this video, and then you'll be able to continue this. And so if you like this approach, you can take the format and then add your own licks to this and keep going with it. All right, so that's sort of the background behind why I keep doing these. Now let me talk about my sound setup real quick. People keep saying, hey, you need to explain kind of what's going on with your tone and all of that. I'm playing on the B&G Little Sister. That's what this guitar is. And this is the Crossroads version. So they have a custom build or a private build. This is not the private build. This is their stock Crossroads. Great guitar. These P90 pickups are just killer. So that's why I used this guitar. I wanted that real kind of heavy overdrive, and it was between this and the Les Paul, and I thought I would use this one. And so as far as pedals, I'm not using any pedals. I am running into a Kemper Profiler, and I have the overdrive kind of cranked up. I'm using a Chieftain amp profile. But the sound is just nice, gritty, bluesy, crunchy sound. It was kind of exactly what I was looking for. But it also sounds nice when you play it lightly. You know, so you can get both of those sounds with that amp setup. Okay, so the song is played in the key of G minor, and it's a 1-4-5 chord progression, but it's a minor 1, a minor 4, and then the 5 is a major. So we have a G minor for the 1, we have a C minor for the 2, or for the 4, sorry, and then our 5 is a D7. G minor, C minor, D7. That's what we're going to be playing over. That's the structure of this whole thing. And so I always start these songs when I'm writing them. I start with a little structure, a little chord structure, and then I start to embellish that. And so we're going to learn some rhythm techniques. We're going to learn some lead techniques, a lot of stuff that we'll be breaking down. So the first thing we're going to learn is this lick. Now this is played right out of the G minor chord shape. I was just picturing that chord shape. and then I came up with a lick out of that chord shape. So I started with the 6th string, that's the 3rd fret 6th string, which is your G note. And the other thing I should mention about this composition, there's no open strings in it. So if you want to play this in any key, you just start your starting point, you just pick the fret you want to play it in, and that's the key that you'll be playing it in. So there's another added bonus to this. But we start with that, and then I played an upstroke. It's actually a rake across 3 strings. And what I'm doing with my left hand is I'm barring the first 3 strings here. So I'm thinking that G minor chord shape. Now I'm not playing the full bar chord with all 6 strings, just playing the top 3 strings here. But I'm going to add my ring finger to the 5th fret 3rd string. And why that note? Well, I'm just thinking minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. So I could picture that note in the minor pentatonic scale, and it gives me somewhere else to go. It's just a sort of a lick that I kind of noodled around and came up with. And the other thing I should mention is there's some muted strums that happen. So after I play that, then I hit a muted strum there. And you'll start to feel why as we get into this. It's sort of where your foot would tap, and I do that just sort of instinctively. I didn't sit down and write out where these muted strums are. It's just you're doing it to sort of keep time with your right hand. So that's what we have so far. Now after that, we're going to go between the 5th fret and the 3rd fret on the 3rd string, and then you do the same thing on the 4th string. It's a little box there, right in the middle of pattern 1, minor pentatonic scale. So we have, then we go back to the 5th fret 4th string, which is your G note. And then we come up here while that note is ringing out, and I play the 3rd fret 6th string, which is a G note as well. It's just an octave lower. So you have, so all together that first part sounds like that. Now don't just let that be part of this composition. Think about what's going on there, connect it back to your G minor shape, and use that when you're improvising, or use it in something else. So now if you're playing an A minor, you can use that in a solo. You can use it as a nice little rhythm fill. You can start to use this stuff in other things. Okay, so after this, then I came up here and went, really nice, mellow kind of thing. And what's actually happening there by playing this, well, let me show you how to play it, then I'll show you what I'm thinking. So I'm sliding with my ring finger from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret on the 4th string, and then my ring finger goes down on the 3rd fret 3rd string. So it's those middle 2 strings on the 3rd fret. And then my ring finger stays there, but my index finger goes back down on the 2nd fret 4th string. Now that just has a real cool vibe to it. And what that is, if you think of the C7 chord shape, these are the 2 notes that are in the C7 chord shape. So all that is a C7 chord. And so I'm thinking of it this way. If I were playing the song like this, I'm playing, strumming the chord G minor, C7. You can think of all of that. I think of all of that as being all over the 1 chord part of the song. So you have, even though you can alternate back and forth between that minor 1 and the 4 chord, that's really what that is. So it's just part of a C7 chord. All right, so after that we go back to that rake lick, same thing, and then the second time through I went, just to give you a variation. So the first time we went, second time, and to play that I'm barring the first 3 strings on the 3rd fret, then I come up here to the, so it's a downstroke, come up here to the 5th fret, bar the first 3 strings, upstroke, muted downstroke, and then back to your 3rd fret, first 3 strings. So looks like that. Now why that? Well, that's just a C. If you think about it, remember the first time we did the C7 chord? This time I'm playing a C9 to a C6 and back to a C9. So you can think of all of that as that G minor to the major C part. Let's back it up from the beginning now and play everything up to that point. I'll play through it slowly. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. can feel a little bit of a swing to it. Now after that I played, and that's getting us to the 4 chord, or the minor 4 chord. Kind of a cream lick, a Clapton cream lick there. And so what I'm doing there is I'm playing right out of minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for G. And I'm borrowing the first 2 strings on the 3rd fret. And then I've got my ring finger on the 5th fret 3rd string. I do a full bend, and then play strings 2 and 1. So we have. So after that, I do a hammer on to the 6th fret 2nd string, and then a pull off with my ring finger. I'm keeping this bar here the whole time, and all these notes are pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for G. So then I do another hammer on, this time to the 5th fret 3rd string. Then I'm going to play the 3rd fret 3rd string, 5th fret 4th string. So let's back up and play all that together. Let me do it slowly. Now then, I land, instead of landing on the G note, I'm going to land on the C note because we're playing over the 4 chord, the minor 4 chord. So I hit the 3rd fret 5th string. And then I came up here and played a little walk down there. Now I could have done what I did over the 1 chord. I could have played that 9 to the 6 chord, back to the 9 chord. But instead I came up here and went. And that's a walk down technique that I've covered actually in EP314. If you like what's going on there, this is a great minor chord rhythm walk down. I use this quite a bit, and in that lesson in particular I go over this in detail. So what I'm doing there is I'm borrowing, I'm just thinking about the middle 2 strings 3 and 4, and I'm borrowing those here on the 8th fret. And then my ring finger comes up here to the 10th fret 4th string, and I actually slid into it. And then it walked down to the 9th fret, and then down to the 8th fret. So I'm keeping the 8th fret 3rd string for all of those. And so that's what I'm doing for that C minor chord part. So after, it's just another little rhythm technique. Now you can do it over the G if you like the sound of that. So now you have 3 variations you can play. So you have, that's the first one, then you have, that's the second one, then you have, so you have 3 variations. All right, so let's back it up. From the beginning, we'll play to that 4 chord. Now, after that, I went back to the 1 chord with that lick, and that's playing. Let me show you how to play it first. I'm coming up here to the 7th fret 3rd string, 6th fret 2nd string, quick slide back to the 5th fret 3rd string, 3rd fret 3rd string, 5, 3, that's on the 4th string, so and then we go back to the 5th fret 4th string, and then I come down to that G note, which is an octave lower than that 3rd fret 6th string. So the sliding is what really makes that lick. And that lick is playing, I'm just thinking pattern 2 and the minor pentatonic scale for G, playing over a G minor, and then sliding down into pattern 1. That's what that lick is. That's a great lick. I use that lick all the time. So then after I come back to pattern 1, there's the response. So think of that as the call, the response. That's that same 9, C9 to the C6 chord. So it goes. Now we're about to go to the 5 chord. And what I played there to get us into the 5 chord was this lick. Another Clapton lick. A lot of this is very Clapton influenced. It just had kind of a cream feel to me. So I'm in minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. I'm on the 5th fret 3rd string. I'm doing a full bend. then playing the note without the bend, and then watch this. Very classic Eric Clapton lick. A hammer on, pull off, hammer on. And so I'm starting with the 3rd fret, 3rd string. I do a hammer on to the 5th fret, 3rd string, pull off, and then another hammer on to the 5th fret, 4th string. And that's a lot easier than you would think. You could do this on an acoustic guitar. You don't have to have a guitar with overdrive. So, and then I go back to the 3rd fret, 3rd string, back to the 5th fret, 4th string. And then watch this. So what I'm doing there is I'm sliding up into this position. I'm starting on the 6th fret, 4th string, sliding up to the 7th fret, 4th string, and then my index finger goes down on the 5th fret, 3rd string, and I play that twice. So after I play that, do a quick slide back down to the 5th fret, 4th string, and then the 3rd fret, 4th string. So let's play that whole lick there. It goes. So when I come up to this position, I'm thinking about the 5 chord. Remember we're playing a D7 chord? Those are notes that would be in that D7 chord. So if I was playing a D7 chord right here, that's where those 2 notes come from. Now the way that you want to think about this so you can apply it to other things easily is just picture your 1 chord and look at this as a little extension off your 1 chord to get to your 5 chord. That's a great technique to do that. And I use this a lot. So if my 1 chord is right there, when it's time to go to the 5 chord in your solo, there's that little extension right there, and that's what I'm doing. So after that I went. So that is barring the first 4 strings on the 3rd fret. I'm going to play strings 3 and 4 together, do a hammer onto the 5th fret, 4th string, go back to the 3rd fret, and then while that's ringing out, I put my middle finger down on the 4th fret, 5th string, I do a hammer onto the 5th fret, 5th string, then I do an upstroke on that note which is ringing out there behind the 3rd fret, 4th string. So we have back to the 5th fret, 5th string, then we come down to the 1st fret, 5th string, and then my ring finger goes down on the 3rd fret, 6th string. Now what is this down here? That's that little extension, and I cover this in the blues lead course, where if you're looking at pattern 1, you have it like that. Now I think of a little extension off of it being this box. It's super easy to play because it's just skipping a fret. So you have your 1st fret to your 3rd fret on the 6th string, 1st fret to your 3rd fret on the 5th string, and you can apply that to your G minor chord. So if you're playing an A minor, it'd be right there. So there's so many great licks that come out of that, especially pickup notes and things like that. So that's why I dropped down into that position. I could have played it like that. I just find it easier to come down here. Okay, and that's really all there is to this first part. I'm going to back up and play through it one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2 where we'll learn the rest of this. We'll get into more specific lead stuff. It's not so much rhythm driven in the second part. If you're not a premium member yet, check it out. It's incredibly affordable. New lessons every week. Been doing it for many years. You get the tablature, you get jam tracks when they are included with the lesson, all that stuff. Okay, so here we go from the beginning.